Oh, hi. This week, we're going to see how many mistakes can be made on the same project that doesn't even seem that complicated. So here's the deal. I went through all that effort, tweaking and mathy thinking and just really trying to troubleshoot how to make perfect fitting princess seam bodice for myself. Kind of complicated as far as I am concerned, and it went like a dream. Absolute breeze getting through that. You know, it was work, but it went smoothly. Very, very happy with the end result. This week, I decided, hey, I'll start on making a dress with said pattern because I put all this work into making the blueprint. Now let's build the thing. Washed and pressed this gorgeous, adorable fabric that my fairy god Cheryl sent me. Sweet little otters on it, and I found perfect fabric for the lining. Even had enough fabric for pockets. Started laying everything out, checked the stretch on this, and it's the exact same as the quilting cotton I made the mock-ups out of, so should be able to just go with the exact pattern pieces that I have. It should all go to plan, right? Think about every step that could be messed up. Those are all the things I messed up. I thought I had the fabric folded in half on the spot I needed to. It's a big print. You gotta pay attention to where things are located or it's just gonna look wonky. Although listen, we're working with princess seams. We can only do so much, but I guess I folded it badly because I wanted one of the lines going down the otter here to be the center point. That seemed like a good way to go with this, right? Well, that didn't happen, so then I had to recut the centerpiece. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I want like these lines to match up. So I very strategically and methodically lay out the side front pattern piece, try to line everything up with the center front. Well, unfortunately, my meathead brain accidentally grabbed the first center front piece that I cut that was incorrect. So I matched the side front pieces to that, which then made those unusable. Recut those again, and then finally, once I got to the back pieces, cut everything where it was supposed to go. Now by this point, I had used up so much extra yardage that I wasn't planning to. Not only did I not have enough for the circle skirt I had initially intended to do as the bottom part of this dress, but I have to do a gathered skirt, and even at that, I don't know if it's gonna be long enough, but it's for a summer dress. If it's a little short and it's just for hanging around the backyard, that's fine. I can color block something at the bottom, so I just wanted to share how much of a struggle it is sometimes. And this is one of my biggest frustrations with myself. And I have come to learn that this is a ADHD trait, so I don't beat myself up about it nearly as hard. I just try to acknowledge that it's happening and just step away from whatever it is I keep fucking up, because it's not a matter of it being difficult. The difficult part was the patterning stuff I did in last week's video. That was the complicated part that I was scared of. This is the easy bit. I've attached so many bodice patterns and skirts to them, and especially gathered skirts and stuff, and I've cut a million things, including doing fussy cutting and lining everything up. I have no words for how dumb I felt, but also have learned that in the ADHD brain, that's just a thing that happens sometimes. The easy stuff is what we fuck up on. They're careless mistakes. Though in the moment, I felt like I was taking so much care to get it done, and it just kept falling to shit. Everything I touched just fell to shit. It was infuriating. I have to say, I usually get frustrated to the point that I want to throw things in the trash and knock things off a table. Not that I ever knock things off a table. I will throw a temper tantrum quietly and mostly to myself, but the emotions are very extreme, and I didn't get to that point. And I will give myself credit for the hard work I've been doing, because I have been going to the gym every other day for brain stuff, not for weight stuff. I probably weigh more than I did when I first started going to the gym, but it's not about that. It's to try to keep my head as stable as possible. And the reason why this past week this has been such a nightmare to try to do this stuff is apparently a lot of the negative traits of ADHD intensify when you're on your period. I didn't even realize that that was on the horizon until the end of the week. It is now the following Monday, because I did take a couple days off. It forced me to relax for a few days because I knew I was just beating myself up. I also knew I was going to be feeling like shit for a couple days, and I'm still in that part of it, but my brain feels calmer. I'm not thinking I'm an idiot anymore. It's very hard to not immediately go to that place when I make a stupid mistake. That seems so easy to avoid, but that's just shit I have to come to terms with my brain doing sometimes. So taking a couple days away, knowing I was just gonna cause more havoc by trying to push through, is a thing I wouldn't have done previously, but now I'm cutting myself a lot more slack and realizing it's not an inadequacy on my part. It's just different wiring, and sometimes I just can't handle certain things, and I need to, take a break and then come back to it later. So this is the me coming back to it later. So hopefully the bees inside my head have chilled out enough that we can forge ahead through this project. I do have the bodice fronts together. Oh right, here's another thing I messed up. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Pretty easy to figure out, especially because I have a wide open toe foot that if I move the needle over makes it 1/2 inch seam allowance. I have notes on the pattern that say specifically 1/2 inch seam allowance, where a lot of times I do go with 1/4 inch. Plenty of room for like good notches along the princess seams. I wanted to give it a little bit deeper of a seam allowance. And if you can see the second row of stitching here a little ways away from the actual seam line is because your girl completely forgot that it was a 1/2 inch seam allowance, even though I had just cut the fabric before I started sewing it together. So I had to restitch everything and then tediously unpick all of the messed up seams because I need to press all these open. That is when I stopped working on this and was like, we have to let this go for a couple days. It's like that scene in the IT Crowd. Moss is in front of the computer that's on fire and he says, "It's off." I turn it on and just walk away, which is extra funny because yes, careless mistake. He's supposed to turn it off if it's on and on fire and then walk away. So that was just playing on a loop in my head and I did eventually just walk away. But anyway, I've been giving myself a pep talk while I was driving home today. Got my pockets cut. I had a note that said, rather than doing a facing like the original B6453 butterick pattern that Gertie did, which is what this is based off of, she just has a facing for it. But I remember when I first made it that I wanted a full lining just because I don't know why. The facing just bothered me and I wanted it to have like a little bit more structure to it. Also, this fabric will be sheer enough that I would like a second thing under it. Where the skirt, I always wear shorts under my dresses, so I'm not worried about like the skirt having a little bit of sheerness to it. Plus it's going to be gathered, so it's going to cover the middle bit more anyway. It'll be a denser thicket of fabric. So yeah, lining is pieced together. The outer shell of the bodice is pieced together. I have to do all the ironing, so I have my darts in the back. I gotta nip the seam allowance for the curves, press all of this stuff open. Then I'm going to put the skirt together because I want to get a good idea of where to put the straps and I want the skirt on it beforehand so it's actually going to like have the waist sitting where it's going to go, because with just the free range bodice it's harder to gauge, plus there's going to be seam allowance taken up, so like I don't know, it'll just be easier to finagle. In my head, let's make the dang thing. I'm gonna have a dress. This is gonna be a successful sewing adventure. Let's get a little bit of coffee and a little bit of water. Let's do this. Okay, just a little helpful note while I'm pressing stuff out, since I want to give some information about the actual sewing project and not just me having a fucking meltdown and talking about it. When I press darts and I have a lining involved, I do press them so that they're facing the opposite direction. So I pressed the darts on the lining fabric towards the center back, but then the darts on the outer fabric towards the side seam. Yeah, this way they will sit nicely without adding a bunch of bulk to everything. This seam right here, I'm gonna leave open on the front and the back, but the tops of the arm curves and the neck curve, that's getting stitched together. And then I'm gonna wait to stitch the center back seams down until I get the zipper in place. Need to get folded down and tucked in and it'll be a whole thing. Okay, I'm about to do the gathers. Actually, I'm about to stitch the side seams together. I did add the pockets, I didn't forget. And a thing that makes gathering so much less of a headache is I like to do just like, you know, normal whatever weight thread as the top thread, but if I have a thicker thread, like the black thread is a little thicker than the white thread, I'm gonna fill my bobbin with this. So if you have a hard time with like threads breaking, it helps with that, and also just having one that wants to go easier than the other, it's usually the thicker thread on the bottom. Just trying to survive this make, and that seems like a good way to tackle it, is make me less mad at the thing I'm trying to make. Are you ready for some satisfying thread pulls? Hopefully. Fingers crossed this goes smoothly. Yeah, I'll start with the top one first. And then you just shimmy it. You want to pull it taut, but not so much that it's gonna snap. Ugh, no! Don't have as much of a tail to pull on. Everything's okay. Let's try the other bottom thread. Okay. That's the ticket. Yeah. Got it in one. And now to get those top threads out of the way, just open up the rest of that seam allowance. Nothing's holding it down. And then you like open up the skirt to the outside That's where the other row is going to be. And now we have our bodice attached to our skirt. How cute is that? Look at all these otters. Okay, so I know I'm not showing a step-by-step because I'm also not following the pattern instructions at all. Like, I've made this into my own dress at this point. For the weird things that I am tackling, I did press the bodice lining down a little bit further so a bit of the front fabric is like sticking over, just so none of the pink is sticking out on the top side. I will top stitch all of this down along all these edges once I figure the straps out. We're almost there, but what I need to do next is stitch the skirt together and then follow that line up through the bodice and the bodice lining. I'll be basting past a certain point though, because I got to figure out where the zipper goes in. So this is an 18-inch zipper, I guess, probably longer than I need, but it's not the end of the world to have a longer zip. So I need to find the length for this by resting these little stops up here where the lining and the outer fabric are meeting. And then I'm just gonna hold it and measure down. Oh, that's almost the entire skirt. Does it matter? I think I'm gonna keep it. This is gonna be a really short skirt. It's intended to be longer, but as explained before, I had to eat up a lot of the fabric. So you know what? If I don't like it, I can close it up even more, but I don't want to cut it and then regret it being shorter. So we're gonna start with this for now. I stitch it here to here where the bottom stop is at like a regular durable stitch length, and then I'm basting the entire rest of this right sides together, and then I'm gonna press that open. Especially for the lining and stuff, that's the important part, is I want it pressed open evenly at like 1/2 inch seam allowance, because it'll make the finishing stitches I'm gonna be doing so much easier. Okay, and now that the zipper is stitched in, I did the basting and all that good stuff. I'm just taking the lining and folding it over, and then I can stitch it down along the edge of the zipper. And otherwise I just gotta hem the bottom of it, and then I'm gonna do stitch in the ditch, and that's gonna tack this down. Oh fuck, except I gotta add the straps. I think I'm gonna fit for that now. I need to switch bras though, because I have a different style on. We went on a whole rant about that last week. Wow, you guys, it fits so well. Okay, sorry, just kind of reveling in this for a second. Yeah, this is good. I'm so glad I lined this too. Y'all, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. I made this. And obviously I took a different route with these. I'm feeling it out. I'm not 100% settled on it. I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe I just use the ribbon to make regular straps and not have it tie, but I just felt inspired because I found a ribbon that exactly matched the color pink I wanted. Very long zipper, which considering how short the dress is, I need most of the length. Not upset about it. A little sneaky pink in the pockets. I can't believe the fit of this. I know that's why I spent so much time working on it, but like this feels so good. Like it physically feels good. And emotionally feels good. Like, look at the lines of this. Like, not to be tooting my own horn, but I fucking killed this project. I'm very proud of myself because, boy, it's taken a long time for me to let myself get here. Oh, I can't wait to make more dresses. This is easily my most proud make. It completely fell to shit for the first half. So I can't wait to see what I make after this. Thank you all so much for coming on this ride with me, because I mean, this is one of the high points and coming off kind of a low point at the start of this. That's something I'm able to push through because of the bug troll community that I have. I don't have words for how much y'all mean to me in so many facets of my life. So thank you all for being around, and quite literally I am only able to do this because of the super rad folks over at Patreon that are like, you're making this happen. I wouldn't have had the time to put into making the bodice perfect and then take time away from this when I knew I was battling against my own brain and I wasn't going to get through it. I've been able to take the time to recognize and step away from things so that I can come back and do a better job because of that support. So it's the greatest gift I could ever ask for. So we're not gonna cry. We're not gonna cry. Our tummy's gonna growl, but we're not gonna cry. You're just all great, and I get to do this because of you. So thank you very much. I'm gonna go. I'll see you back here with another video next Friday. Thank you so much for hanging out. Okay, hi, yes, it's the next day, and you bet your asses that I couldn't deal with the ties anymore. So this is what the straps look like. Okay, have a great weekend.